There is a specific kind of dread that humans universally understand. It is the realization that a situation has crossed the point of no return. 2,000 years ago, a man named Jairus lived a life defined by his status. As a synagogue leader, he held the highest level of religious and social authority in his town. But that resume offered zero leverage against a failing physical body. His 12-year-old daughter was dying, and his public influence could not buy her a single extra second of health. So he abandoned his dignity. He pushed through the town, located Jesus of Nazareth, and publicly collapsed at his feet, begging for an intervention. Real desperation strips away human hierarchy. When a life is slipping away, the pursuit of time becomes the only currency that matters. Jesus agreed to go with him, but progress was agonizingly slow. A massive, claustrophobic crowd pressed in from every side, physically restricting movement toward the house. And then the timeline abruptly shattered. Messengers arrived from Jairus' estate with a blunt update. They told him his daughter was dead, and that there was no longer any reason to trouble the teacher. This chart visualizes the psychological impact of that message. We see a line plotting anticipated hope over elapsed time. At the moment of the messenger's arrival, that hope takes a sheer vertical drop to zero. The window for a cure had officially expired. For Jairus, the crisis had crossed a hard threshold. He was no longer dealing with a medical emergency. He was facing a finished story. Yet Jesus' reaction ignored the messengers entirely. He turned to the grieving father and gave a counterintuitive command. Do not be afraid, only believe. By the time they reached the house, the atmosphere was chaotic. Neighbors and professional mourners were already weeping and wailing loudly, marking the definitive end of the little girl's life. Jesus stepped into the noise and made a controversial claim. He told the mourners the child was not dead, but merely sleeping. The crowd's reaction was immediate. Their mourning pivoted into sharp, mocking laughter directed straight at him. That laughter reflected the logical human consensus. Death is a permanent state, and treating it as a temporary condition is absurd. Jesus did not argue with them. Instead, he exercised his authority and forced the mocking crowd out of the house. He isolated the environment, allowing only the parents and his closest disciples to remain in the room. He approached the bed and made direct physical contact. He gently reached out and firmly grasped her pale hand. Then he spoke the Aramaic phrase, Talitha, Koum. It translates to, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." This wasn't a formal ritual. It was the common way a parent would wake a child in the morning. The biological proof followed immediately. The young girl stood up from the bed and began to walk around the room, and Jesus told the parents to give her something to eat. The event demonstrates that even when a biological expiration is reached, the process can be reversed by a single command. We can visualize this perspective using vectors. Human time moves along a horizontal red line until it hits the barrier of death, but Jesus' authority acts as a vertical gold arrow, intersecting directly through that barrier. This shows the boundary we see as final is not absolute. The wall of death became a permeable entrance for his intervention. This is why the instruction to feed the girl is so significant. A ghost doesn't need a meal. Eating proved that her physical life, her hunger, her metabolism, her body, had been fully restored to its natural state. The story suggests that because his authority is not restricted by human deadlines, the concept of too late is no longer a fixed reality. You likely have a ticking clock in your own life right now. You may have a relationship, a career path, or a dream that feels like it has passed the point of rescue. You might even hear the modern equivalent of that mocking crowd, voices from society or your own internal thoughts telling you the situation is finished. But the narrative of Jairus shows that a delayed answer does not mean a lack of power. A situation can be entirely past a human deadline, and yet still be within reach of his voice. If you believe Jesus has the power to bring life back to the dead areas of your life, I invite you to type Amen in the comments below. Even when the door seems to have slammed shut, a single word from him can start the clock again.